the Cajun Turnbuckle Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first live stream of the Cajun Turnbuckle Podcast right here on Dirty South Entertainment. And we are your hosts. I'm, of course, Marcus. He's Big Rich from Driving to the Top Productions. You can also find him every Monday on his NASCAR show, Two Tire Change, and our baseball show, Fans of the Diamond. And he's the host of Open Mic Night on Tuesday nights for Driving to the Top. And on Wednesdays, he does the Steel City Sports Talk with Adam on Wednesday nights. What's going on, Rich? How you doing?
Outside of that, I don't do anything. How you been?
I'm good. Hope y'all had a wonderful Good Friday and Easter tomorrow. Hope everyone's doing good. Enjoying y'all's Easter weekend.
Yeah, I hope the rain's staying away from everybody else because we're sure getting it here and it's ruining some Easter egg hunts for the kiddos. But I hope everybody else is staying dry.
Yeah,
but it's a big weekend, man.
Yeah, it could ruin some barbecues for guys like me. But yeah, we got a loaded weekend with not just Stand and Deliver. I mean, we got the Final Four tonight. We got baseball, basketball, like NBA, Major League. We got all college baseball too. We got all sorts of good action this weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's that time of year, man, where everything's hitting at once. So it's pretty cool.
Maybe everything except no NASCAR race tomorrow because of Easter, but it picks back up next week.
No, but we got one today. We got the Riley Series race today, and several of the guys from the Cup Series are running in that race. So.
Oh, okay. So I'm talking about like the Cup Series, like the big ones on Sundays. That's the one I'm usually talking about.
Yeah. No, this is their one and only off week for the season. But it's kind of weird. You know, they take Easter off, but you would imagine if nothing else, they would take Father's Day off, right?
Yeah.
No.
But I never thought of that either. But we got ourselves I got a couple topics I want to bring up before we get to the predictions. So one thing WrestleMania related I want to bring up. They announced it earlier this week. Your take. A few months ago, John Cena retired from in-ring competition after doing his retirement tour, tapping out to Gunther at Saturday night's main event. Now he's coming back to host WrestleMania in Vegas in a couple of weeks. And he'll join a short list of people that have hosted it in the past, from Trump to The Rock, Hogan, The New Day, Alexa Bliss, Gronk, and The Miz. That's all I've recalled that have hosted Mania in the past, and now Cena joins that. What's your take on the GOAT himself coming back to host WrestleMania in Vegas?
I think it's a good thing. I mean, he has said from the very beginning he was retiring from wrestling. He wasn't necessarily retiring from WWE. There's no question about it. He's still doing the ambassador type stuff with the Make-A-Wish deals and all that kind of stuff. He's still doing that. He's doing a lot of PR and all that kind of good stuff, which they can really use right now. Because the product is kind of struggling. There's still plenty of good seats available for WrestleMania 2 weeks away. So having Cena there, I think they're trying to get a few more ticket sales because, oh my gosh, Cena's going to be there. And he can be a good host. You mentioned all those hosts. A lot of them weren't that great. When New Day did theirs, if you remember right, that's when they launched the whole Bootios thing. Mm-hmm. That was entertaining. That was good when they did that. But like when Rock did it, when Hogan did it, when Miz did it, it was like, okay. Even when Trump did it, it was like, So hopefully he has a little more involvement in the show, but not in the ring. Does that make any sense?
Makes a lot of sense, but maybe I could be wrong. I might just have visions in my head with one match in particular that don't make no sense. Why do I feel like he might get involved in Gunther's match with Seth Rollins? But he might not.
I mean, that's a conceivability, but I think that, if they're going to do that, then that means Cena getting back in the ring. And I think he's going to do. I think he's going to be one of the few guys that he's going to hold up to the "I'm done" uh, aspect of things. Flip side, another guy that just retired recently in AJ Styles. I'm not thoroughly convinced he's not going to do one more run in TNA,
Yeah.
but that's for another topic for another day. Cena hosting WrestleMania, I think, was a smart move for them. I would be blown away if he's not headlining the class next year. I just kind of wonder, how that this may be we're putting AJ in this year, we'll put you in next year. Let's do something to soothe Cena's ego because they
Mhm.
both retired the same year,
Yeah.
but they're putting AJ in before Cena. And, I don't know if Cena got his panties in a bunch because of that, or then maybe this is kind of a let's soothe everything over.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that he's hosting it. Give some sort of like revenue for ticket sales to, because obviously they still haven't sold the stadium out yet, and they're going back to back. And Vegas is known for its tourist attractions and sports sell and all that. Like they can sell out Allegiant Stadium for boxing, but can't sell out for this. But I get with how the card's been and everything. I feel like the only thing they've been hyping more on this WrestleMania outside of Punk and Roman is Brock and Oba. That's all I'm hearing throughout this 14 match card for 2 nights is those 2 matches. Maybe, and I'll put Cody and Orton third because I don't tune into a lot of SmackDown lately, but that's all they talk about on SmackDown is them two. Where on Raw, if they're not bringing Cody and Orton up, they're mainly focusing on Brock and Oba or even Punk and Roman.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the Punk or the Lesnar Oba thing, I think is one of those changing of the guard type deals. Would not be the least bit surprised if this is the last time we see Lesnar. That he, passes the torch to Oba Femi to be the next quote big thing. To steal the pun from when Lesnar came in, and to go from there. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that happens. Lesnar's 48, I think, something like that. His daughter's in college and doing extremely well with her athletics. He's got a couple other kids that are getting ready to go to college and that kind of thing. I'm sure he would much rather be traveling to their events instead of traveling to WWE stuff.
Yeah. Now, if Cena goes in next year, I wonder, they may be talking about Mania relocating again with everything going on in the Middle East. There's a possibility they take WrestleMania out of Saudi and give it to Indianapolis because they're still promised the Mania. Give it to New Orleans or go somewhere else.
Well, if they're smart, they'll make that decision like now. For a couple of reasons. That's a lot of moving parts taking everything to Saudi Arabia because a lot of people don't realize a lot of that stuff that like the entrance stuff and the ring equipment and all that, you can't just throw that in a plane and take it over. You got to put it on a boat and send it over, and it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the situation going on in that, yeah, I mean, they need to make that decision fast. And if they're smart, they'll move it to your neck of the woods to kind of soothe things over with the crowd in New Orleans who got screwed over for this year's WrestleMania after they announced it and everything and then went, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Well, Indianapolis might still be on a hold because remember when they signed their little partnership to get Rumble, Mania, and even SummerSlam, this was on every other year they're apart. Like they got the Rumble in 25. Here through the grapevine, SummerSlam is going to be next for Indy in 2027, and then probably by 2029 is when they're going to get their WrestleMania. So
that's what I hear too. Yeah.
So don't count your eggs before they hatch, but most likely SummerSlam next year is going to be in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. And if New Orleans don't get Mania next year, maybe somewhere else I think it was it Jim Cornette that threw Cleveland, Ohio in the mix, and then someone threw like Atlanta in the mix, someone even threw Nashville, but their stadium's not even complete. Nashville ain't gonna
I'll
get
tell
it
you
till
what,
that stadium's done.
that is very true. That is very true. But I wouldn't be surprised if they tried Dallas again. I mean, Dallas really performed for them. It's centralized in the country, like New Orleans is, like Indianapolis is, like St. Louis would be. But it's central, so it's easier for people to get to from all over the country. And AT&T Stadium, the two times they've been to AT&T, they've sold that joint out.
Well, let's talk about something. Hopefully, this don't drag the whole show, but I mean, we got our takes about it. We're gonna say our goods and bad, but the Hall of Fame, which you look at it now, I feel like it used to mean something when they brought it back 20 plus years ago. Like between
Yeah.
like '04 to like at least till about 2009, it used to be special, but it's like nowadays they're just putting anyone in. Now, this not regarding to AJ Styles or even Stephanie McMahon or Demolition going in. It's just you look at some of the people over the years they put in, and in my perspective, I'm really not a big fan of this celebrity wing anymore. I feel like it's just a sideshow just to gain attraction for celebrities to tune in. Because some of them celebrities that I've gotten in had nothing to do with Mania. Like, look at Drew Carey. He got in for being in the Royal Rumble, first celebrity being in the Rumble. But now you look at this class this year, besides AJ and Stephanie McMahon and Demolition, which they all deserve it. Dennis Rodman going in, like, what did he do in WWE? All he did was join the NWO and WCW and had a match or two teaming with Hogan. And then you got this. Okay, now the legacy. It's nice to have when you want to pay acknowledgement to wrestlers from a whole nother century. Like you got like a Luthez, a Haystacks Calhoun, and all those guys, like Bearcat, like all them, like got wrestlers from the 20s, 30s, 40s before there was even the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. I can respect that. But then when you put people like Lord Alfred Hayes is in the legacy, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Luna Vachon should be in the Hall of Fame, not the legacy. Yeah. You're going to put Sid Vicious, who should be an actual Hall of Famer. I watched him in WCW like 30 years ago. I watched him in WWE 30 years ago. Bad News Brown, another one that should be an actual Hall of Famer, not a legacy. Like, yeah, his moment was WrestleMania 4 when he won the Battle Royal. Well, you're shaking your head. No. Give me your take on all this.
Okay. I agree with the first part. Sid should have, he's a two-time WrestleMania main eventer. Main event.
Exactly.
Sid should have gone in on his own a long time ago. Not just because I got to know Sid and all the stories are true. Outside the ring, he is a hell of a nice guy. We did a lot of work whenever I was working in Memphis doing radio. And he lives in West Memphis, which is like basically going down the street from Memphis. It's like 10 minutes.
It's like a sister city.
Yeah. We did a lot of really cool stuff together when they were revitalizing Memphis wrestling with him and Lawler and Doug Gilbert and guys like that. And I got to know Sid pretty well. He's a hell of a softball player. That's legit too. You hear people talk about the softball stories and that.
Oh,
the
I've
guy
heard
can
some.
play.
Yeah.
The guy could play. But he should have been in a long time ago. Demolition should have been in a long time ago. Let's be perfectly honest. How many tag teams have gone in that shouldn't have gone in before Demolition? I'm not saying they shouldn't be in, but they shouldn't have gone in before Demolition.
Well, I can only name like 3 tag teams that went in that was fine before them. Like, and I'm gonna go old school too, like the Blackjacks, the Wild Samoans,
sure,
the Road Warriors, the Road Warriors,
even the Hart Foundation,
Foundation. They were all good,
and they should have gone in before them, around the same time. But Demolition should have been in that list. It's been 40 years since they were in their
Go.
peak, 35,
Going.
40 years?
Just about.
You know, I don't understand. The bad news, there has not been one thing that Bad News Brown, Bad News Allen did or has done that impressed me. Not one. Not one thing. He to me is, and I say this with respect, but you know, anybody that's heard me talk about in our other podcast things, the Hall of Very Good, when it comes to baseball or football, Coco Beware has no business being in the Hall of Fame either. Guys like that, no, they're not they're Hall of Very Good. They're not Hall of Fame. You know, the legacy thing is ridiculous. Bruiser Brody got put in on the legacy.
That's another one, yeah.
That one pissed me off to no end. You know, how in the world is Bruiser? Stan Hansen went in on the legacy. Again, how in the heck does that happen? How is he and his family not allowed to be up on that stage to do their thing? As far as the celebrity wing goes, the celebrity wing will be 100% bogus until the person that started all this, what's causing all this, as Dusty would say, Cyndi Lauper is not in the Hall of Fame. The only part, think about this for a minute. The only part of the Rock and Wrestling Connection that is not in the Hall of Fame. Hogan, yeah. Piper, yeah. Orndorff, yes. Cowboy Bob, yes. Albano, yes. Mr. T, yes. How is Cyndi Lauper not in there?
Yeah,
That's as big a travesty as anything else.
Yeah, remember the Rock and Wrestling Connection, the deal with MTV and all that. She was kind of a planting the seed with sports entertainment and whatnot, and even kind of planting the seed with WrestleMania because, you know, she was a part of WrestleMania as well. I mean, I know you're going to give all the credit to Vince and Hogan for WrestleMania, but, you know, that Rock and Wrestling Connection, that was all Cyndi Lauper. That the war to settle the score was all Cyndi Lauper too.
And I forgot one, and I deeply apologize to her and her family. Wendy Richter.
I think she's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, she's in the Hall of Fame.
She is. Moolah was in, and they took her out, which they should have. But every person that was involved with that original rock and wrestling thing is in, except Cyndi Lauper.
Okay, I'm going to name you a couple more legacy members that should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Just give me like a yes or no. Dr. Death Steve Williams. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Dick the Bruiser.
Oh, definitely. The man carried 3 promotions. His feud with his rivalry with the Crusher and then tag team with the Crusher is one of the greatest of all time. Yes, no question about it.
Ivan Koloff.
Absolutely.
And well,
because a lot of people don't know that Koloff was
who? They also had Kamala in the legacy last year, but I don't recall what he really did. But
well, Kamala's a little different thing. But Ivan Koloff, a lot of people forget that Ivan Koloff was a WWF champion.
Mm-hmm.
He was the champion in the early 70s. Ivan Koloff was one of the best wrestlers in the world before anybody was paying attention to it on TV or any of that kind of stuff. Then he goes in the 80s to WCW, or well, at that point in time, Georgia Championship Wrestling, has some of the greatest feuds of all time, brings in some guy named Nikita Koloff, also brings in, because he had come from Mid-South, a guy named Barry Darsow, who became Crusher Khrushchev, who later became Smash from Demolition. Ivan Koloff, and he always was, you never saw a bad match with Ivan Koloff. Never. He was the guy, you know, and he's another one of those guys. He was Canadian by birth. But he was that character. A lot of people don't realize that he teamed with Nikolai Volkov for a while. You know, he was a really, really prominent part of professional wrestling for a long time. Legacy Wing, again, his family should have the chance to be up there and get the push. You know, I realize that they would have to, as dumb as it sounds, they would probably have to shorten up the ceremony a little bit, and they would probably not be putting as many current people in as they have, because I still don't understand why Michelle McCool is in there. Please explain to me, if she wasn't married to the Undertaker, would she be in there?
Or Stacy Keibler, or Charmel, or I'm trying not to focus on mainly women, but I'm trying to think of men.
There's a list of them.
Like, anyhow, one thing they stopped doing, I'm kind of glad, is the Warrior Award. I didn't really get that, but now they got this new category. I guess they're trying to treat it like it's the damn Emmys or something, or the Oscars. Like, they now have, it's called the Immortal Moment, where they started that a year ago. Like, the first one was Brent and Stone Cold from submission match from WrestleMania 13. This year it's Hogan Andre, which, of how many times I watched WrestleMania 3, I actually went back and watched it. That match sucked. Hell, Steamboat and Savage was a better moment than that. But if you're trying to turn this, turn the Hall of Fame into a friggin' award show, then go back to the Slammies. Do an actual ceremony show, but don't do it WrestleMania weekend. Do it like at the end of the year. Do your immortal moment for the Slammies, not for the freaking Hall of Fame. It's diabolical.
Well, and you're 100% right. I can understand profiling that match, but people have to remember, this was Andre at the end. Andre was really, really hurting at that point in time. He could barely move in the ring. And of course, it got worse in the next couple of years. But this wasn't Andre of 1981. This wasn't Andre of 1977. Andre you could see him in the ring. He could barely move. No questions asked, Hogan carried that match, which in and of itself is a shame, because Hulk Hogan should never have carried a match in his life. But it was the appeal. It was as Gorilla Monsoon called it, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. Okay, I get all that. And yes, it had that broad appeal. Nobody expected Savage and Steamboat to steal the show, but it did. Nobody expected, when WrestleMania 3 came about, for that match to be the one that everybody was talking about 40 years after the fact, but it is. I agree with you 100%. So, I think it's bad. If they would have done that Warrior Award as a one-off or a two-off, I don't know if you remember the first kid that won, or first person that won it was Connor. That kid, Connor
the Crusher Mahalik.
Okay, I'm with you. The kid was a die-hard fan, loved everything that was going on with it. The wrestlers loved him, and he fought. How many years? They gave him like a year, and he made it like 7. Okay, I'm down with that. No questions asked.
Right. Not hating the
award idea. If it was a one-off or a two-off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hating the award idea. Like I said, it should be considered for the Slammies, not WrestleMania Hall of Fame worthy. And some people who won it, deserved it. Like Connor, Eric LeGrand, Joan London, my boy JJ, not far from here. Tim White, Shad Gaspard, Titus O'Neil. I don't know who else have all won it. That's all I recall that won that award, but it's an award. It's not a placement for a legacy in the Hall of Fame. No, that should be more for the Slammies, not for WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, but I can see, I see both sides of that one. The good part was that they never gave that Warrior Award to someone that you went, why are they doing this? It wasn't one of those kind of deals. The Shad Gaspard thing actually popped up on him because when he passed away, it was shortly before WrestleMania. It wasn't that long before WrestleMania. They had to completely change things. But for those
It
that
took him
don't
like
know, Shad Gaspard drowned trying to save kids who were drowning, and he in turn got pulled under the tow and drowned himself. But he saved the kids. So I mean that particular thing that was a quick change. They had I don't remember who they were trying to put in that year, but okay, and 1000% deserved. And you're right. All the other ones like the Joan Londons and the Titus O'Neills and the guys like, okay, I get it.
mm-hmm.
Should they have it on the Hall of Fame show? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If they did it like the football, if they did the Hall of Fame presentation like they do the Football Hall of Fame with just those guys, yeah, I could see that. I think you might have a point there. Then do a separate presentation for the other stuff.
Yeah, but I can't control with what they do now. And then, like I said, being at Mania weekend used to mean something, but I guess with how it turned out last year, where they did the Hall of Fame so late, and Triple H took up over an hour for his speech and whatnot, it's like you might as well just do it a whole different day, or do it a whole different time of year, because it's changed a lot. You might as well just do like Hall of Fame and Slam is like all together at the end of the year or something.
Yeah, and I agree with what a lot you hear a lot of people talking about this, that until there is an actual physical Hall of Fame, it's all just gaga anyway.
Yeah.
Which I can agree with. There was even somebody, I'm trying to remember who it was. I want to say Tommy Dreamer, but I don't think that's right. Brought up about a traveling Hall of Fame that in essence was a trailer that they could take all over the country, kind of the exhibit trailer type deal,
Mm-hmm.
that would have, you know, plaques for the Hall of Famers and all that kind of stuff in it. Okay, it's just become another money grab, I think. Uh, get more people eyes on the product. Because you know as well as I do, you watch the crowd, especially because they only show the lower bowl. Those wrestlers couldn't give 10 cents worth of a crap about being there.
Yeah, and
Let's be honest. They couldn't, unless it's someone that's related to them or something like that, they couldn't care less. There were people falling asleep last year.
Yeah. Well, one more thing before we get to the predictions, since it is Stand and Deliver, what's your take about now? I guess has NXT been so successful and grown that it don't have to ride WrestleMania's coattails anymore, and it's got its own weekend? Because if you look over the years, it always kind of, you could say, it kick-started WrestleMania weekend. Like, there were years where when they went to this 2-night event, they had to go live in the either like 1 o'clock Eastern, morning in the Pacific. Like when they went to LA for WrestleMania, I remember they went live at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning for when they were in LA. When I was over there for Dallas, I think it started at noon, 11 a.m. or noon Central. Right. It went live, but that was the only wrestling event I've ever went to where when I walked out the building, I saw sunshine, and usually instead of a moonlight, which that was completely different. And then before that, there were times where it had its own night, but it was the same weekend. Like it'd be the Saturday night when they just did a one-night WrestleMania on Sunday. But now they're doing their own thing. They're in their own city. And I figured if you're gonna go this route, what a perfect city like St. Louis. That's like a hotbed for wrestling, especially in the Midwest. So, what you think? You approve, disapprove? You having its own weekend instead of riding WrestleMania's coattails?
I like it. I think it's one of those things that I think it's a trial run to see if it can really stand on its own as a product. You hear a lot of people saying WWE NXT is not developmental anymore. It's its own product, just like SmackDown and Raw. And I can see the merit to that statement. Let's see what happens tonight. That they could be doing their own thing. They could be doing separate things from WrestleMania and all that, which is great for them. And it says a lot for the talent on the roster. It says a lot for Shawn Michaels and his team that are putting everything together. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of it. Let's see, let them stand on their own. That it's very aptly titled Stand and Deliver because WWE's told them, here you go, stand on your own and deliver, and let's see what happens. I will be stunned if they don't.
It grown to me. NXT's now their own brand. They're now considered the big leagues because, 10 years ago, they were the developmental for WWE. Like, it started as FCW, then they moved on to become NXT. Now today, they're the big leagues. They're like Raw and SmackDown. They got their own TV deal with CW. They got their own night a week, Tuesday nights. No, their developmental now is Evolve. And it's on on Wednesday nights on Tubi. And I've checked it out a time or two. I think after about 3 or 4 episodes, I don't keep up with Evolve, but they got some good talent. They call up to NXT from Evolve.
If you really watch it, and I know I'm probably going out on a limb on this, you might be able to say the NXT product is better than TNA.
Okay, TNA, they're at least doing something that AEW should be doing. They're playing with what they can handle. Like if it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet, they can take what all they can handle. Going back to small arenas was the biggest thumbs up TNA's done because now going back to small arenas, they sell out. The TV deal with Access. Now, every so often, the production value might be bad. Like, the mics might be a little bit off. That's the only bad thing TNA can have right now that they need to work on. But, like, their TV deal with Access is a success. Going back to small arenas is their biggest success. Because when I went to Sacrifice last week, it sold out. They said that's the first time ever when they went to the Ilario Center, it sold out for TNA. The other 2 times they went, they had about 800 people. And the capacity in that arena is about 2,000, and they had over 1,100 with the production and everything they had that was not curtained off. Every seat was filled. And the same with the Impact tapings they did the next night. So they're doing good. They're doing it right. They just need to work on production stuff. But other than that, I mean, I enjoy TNA every week. It can get a little better, but I enjoy it.
And a good part for them, too, is that move from Access that's not in every home to AMC, which is a part of every streaming platform, every cable platform, all that kind of stuff. That was, yes, AMC is not USA. It's not CW. It's not, something like this, not ESPN. But it's a more prominent and more widespread network. So it gives you the chance to get more eyeballs on it. I agree with you 100%. And if you remember, if you've watched much of it here lately, AEW has finally taken the hint and quit trying to do Rupp Arena and the Superdome and all that kind of stuff. They're going to smaller venues too, where they can have a shot at selling them out and only doing a little bit bigger venues for their pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. But they're for Dynamite and Collision and all that stuff. They're starting to go to smaller arenas too. I'm trying to remember where they go in Arlington. I'll think of the name of the place in a minute.
Well, I know when they would go to Dallas, they were going to Garland, Texas, at the Curtis Colwell Center.
They did. Yeah. And then there was a place in Arlington. It was the E Arena. They're across from Globe Life Field.
I thought they went to college. They went to College Park Center a couple times too. Same with Ring of Honor. But
they've gone to College Park. In fact, they've come down here just outside of Austin to HEB Center.
And Cedar Park.
But these are smaller arenas. These aren't 10, 15,000 seat places that look empty. They're 3, 4, 5,000 seat arenas that they can sell out or come pretty freaking close to selling out.
They went to an arena somewhere in Dallas where they host like the video game championships. It's like a very small like venue that could seat like around 1,000 people, which that's the perfect amount for AEW.
That's the one in Arlington. That's at Esports Arena. It's right next to the convention center in Arlington.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I grew up, was in Arlington. So that's the only reason I know the geography on it. But yeah, it's called the Esports Arena. EA Sports is like 60% owner in the facility.
Nice. There's the only one problem I think AEW has they really need to fix. They need to make a deal with their provider, like whatever, because each wrestling promotion's got that one provider, or if they have their own. WWE's got ESPN. TNA got their own. They got their own app, TNA Plus. The UFC got Paramount Plus. They need to work a deal. AEW's got Prime Video and they got HBO Max. They got two. They need to work a deal where you're not paying extra for their pay-per-view. It should come with your subscription. That's the only problem AEW has, because if I have both HBO Max and Prime, I shouldn't have to pay an extra $50 to watch your product on pay-per-view. It should automatically come with it, like WWE with ESPN, and same with TNA. TNA, they only do it 4 times a year. They only got 4 pay-per-views a year, so it's not a hustle paying $40 every 4 months. And then their plus events like Sacrifice, that's just $10. That's nothing. That's just a flick right there. That ain't nothing. So they need to work on a deal with HBO Max to be like, hey, look, we're making our customers pay like $12 to $20 a month. We should make them pay an extra $50 every damn month to watch our pay-per-view products. Now that they want to do one every month like WWE.
Sure, because I mean, right now they're pulling about 140 to 150,000 buys per pay-per-view on average. If they did something like what you're doing, what you're saying, I think that you would see the subscriptions for those services go sky high, and B, see the number of eyeballs on these pay-per-views. Although the other thing I think they need to do, and I hate to sound cornetish when I say this, but they need to get rid of this flippy floppy crap. This is not gymnastics. They need to have more matches with guys like MJF's, Brody King's, Will Ospreay, Hangman Page, Omega, even Moxley for that matter, Claudio, and quit using these guys that my daughters weigh more than they do. These guys, like, they weigh $150, $160 in there. I'm sorry, I can't get convinced. If you're trying to make me feel like it's real, I can't get convinced with Jack Perry or Speedball or some. Now, Kevin Knight, absolutely. Kevin Knight, I put Kevin Knight and Javon Evans kind of in the same class. Kevin Knight's not as much of an air guy as Javon is, but I think they both have the same potential.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and start predicting Stand and Deliver, which I'm kind of shocked they're not, since this is like their WrestleMania, they're not doing it at Enterprise where the Blues play, where they did SmackDown last night. No, they're going to the Factory. They're going to an amphitheater, but I mean, hey, they could still sell out smaller venues. But if this is like your WrestleMania, I probably would have went to a bigger venue. But I mean, that's on them. I'm not going to hate on it. But,
I would rather see them go to a smaller place, sell out, and turn people away than go to a bigger place and make it look bad with empty seats. Because then they can go to a bigger place next time and know they can fill it up.
All right. Well, now there will be a match on the pre-show, the kickoff. It's a 10-person intergender mixed tag match. So one team, you got Hank and Tank, EK Prosper, Shiloh Hill, and Ren Sinclair taking on Lexus King, Charlie Dempsey, Uriah Connors, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and the TNA Knockouts champion, Ariana Grace, a.k.a. Santino Marella's daughter. So who you got on this one? This is a little exciting 10-person tag to like get the crowd fired up before they go live on Peacock. But which team you got here?
Right. Well, and this 10-person team, I mean, they call themselves the Birthright because they're all children of former wrestlers. Whether it's David Finlay or Steve Regal or William Regal or whoever. Brian Pillman, of course, son is Lexus King. They're going to want to get the crowd hot to start. My guess would be you're going to see Hank the Tank and that bunch win this thing. The interesting part would be if Ariana Grace was the one to eat the pin. Because then that sets up more of this Ren Sinclair, Ariana Grace going after the TNA title, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll take Hank and Tank and his bunch.
Yeah, I'm same here. Hank and Tank, they're a good tag team. I don't think they've won the tag team titles. If they did, they probably had like a short reign. They're a good tag team. You got EK Prosper, who was a killer in GCW, and then he had some appearances in Evolve before he called up. Shiloh Hill, he was a part of that LFG series the first season. I think he was I think he was trained by either I think it was Undertaker that was his coach.
I believe you're right.
Not Booker. I think it was Undertaker. And then Ren Sinclair, which I remember back in my other podcast days, we had her as a guest as Maddie Runkowski when she was still wrestling as Maddie Runkowski, and we saw her in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's called up in NXT as Ren Sinclair. So I'm gonna go with this. And it's nice to say, I've talked with several WWE superstars or a referee or whatnot in the past, but like having someone like her who kind of been around. She was from the Indies. She was in AEW. She did some work in Ring of Honor, and now she's in NXT. So I love her. She's great. So I'm going with that team as well.
Gotcha.
And then on the main card, we got the NXT Tag Team Championships. Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, when they were in Evolve, they were called Swipe Right. I remember them as Swipe Right, where their gimmick was, swipe left, right, like if they were on a dating site. Now they go by the Vanity Project. They're taking on El Grande Americanos boys, Los Americanos, Bravo, and Rayo, a.k.a. New Catch Republic, basically. Tyler Bate and is it Pete Dunne? Yeah.
Pete Dunne, yeah.
All right.
I'll tell you what, I liked New Catch Republic. So these guys under a mask, I really like those guys. This Vanity Project is the way that what Pretty Deadly should have been done. That's the way it should have been done. Instead of making Pretty Deadly look like a couple of sissies going out there and that kind of stuff, this is the way Pretty Deadly should have been done. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a really good match. I really do. I think that we're going to see a lot. I think that the Grande Americanos are going to win it, to take the titles. But I think this could be a rivalry that could go for a really long time and have some really good matches.
I'm going with Los Americanos too, which I enjoy watching them. Real quick, I think I've mentioned it before. You rather Ludwig Americano or OG Americano and Chad Gable?
Can I say yes? I think that I would rather see Kaiser under the mask, mainly because Chad Gable had already had a character of his own. Ludwig Kaiser was trying to get himself out of being Gunther's flunky. And he's done that with being the El Grande Americano. Gable was Gable. Everybody knows Gable can wrestle. Everybody knows Gable is a top star. So I'd rather see Kaiser stay under the mask instead of Gable. But you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Chad Gable made it funny, but Kaiser made it entertaining and fun to watch. And you said of how genius mind he is. He can speak 6 different languages. He can speak Spanish just as perfect as he can speak English. So, plus I love the height he has. Like Gable's got the body build, but Kaiser got the height to play a luchador. He's got the size to play a luchador. Gable's a little bit too buff for a luchador. So, and I mean, Gable's mariachi theme makes me want to laugh, or I feel like I'm going to eat at La Rumba here in town. But El Grande's makes me feel like, I'm getting ready to watch a soccer matchup. Olé, olé. Like, I love it.
Every time I see Chad Gable, I wish it was 25, 30 years earlier where he could be wrestling Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Juventud Guerrera and Chris Benoit and all those guys every night, because he would be really good with that bunch. And every time I see him, I just wish he was with that bunch instead of what he's doing now.
All right. This next one, I think, is going to be a show stealer. NXT North American Championship, Miles Bourne versus Johnny Gargano.
Well, I may be the only person on the planet that feels this way. I don't get this new Gargano thing. I like Miles Bourne. I think you can see that there is a lot there. And there is a bright future for this kid. Stealing the show? Okay. I'm definitely not going to say you're wrong. I don't know that it will, but I think Bourne. I gotta figure Bourne wins this. Because this whole depressed Gargano thing, he can't win and be depressed Gargano. That's the only logic I can see behind it. I could be this one has me thoroughly confused. So I'll follow your lead.
This one to me is undecided because I don't know if this is a one-off or are they really gonna not downgrade or demote, but are they moving Gargano to NXT and out of SmackDown? Because if they're moving him completely to NXT, I would pick him to win the title, as he was once the face of NXT. If this is just a one-off, just to get Miles Bourne over, then I'd have Miles retaining. I'm still haven't figured that out yet, but hell, Miles Bourne's already winning in life. He's dating Stephanie Vakir. So why don't you add another W? Let him have a big moment. Let him beat a former NXT champion like Johnny Gargano. So I'm going to go with Miles Bourne to retain.
I think there's more for them to do with Gargano on NXT than there is on SmackDown. But that's just me.
So then we got, now it's a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. JC Jane will now defend against both Lola Vice and Kendall Gray, which on an episode they had a number 1 contenders match, but it ended in a draw or no. Which, by the way, Mark Stone as the new GM of NXT, he's killing it. I mean, he's doing. I mean, I'm not going to discredit Ava, but Mark Stone as GM is pretty damn good. And he's killing it. Him and Shawn Michaels working together is killing it. But who you got in this triple threat? I mean, it's kind of a Cinderella for both the challengers. I mean, but give me your take real quick, and I'll give you mine and your pick.
Well, first, I agree with you on Stone. I liked him all the way back to when he was Robbie E. The personality is there, the mic skill is there, he comes across very well. I just have I think it's her time. I think it's Lola Vice that wins this thing. I think she's due. She's more than due, and she's just had all these different things to work herself through. And I think that tonight she pulls off the championship.
Well, I can agree that there will be a new champion crown. It's a toss up with these two because they both are big underdogs. Lola has been long overdue to have her moment in NXT. I mean, she is killing it in AAA. Like her and Mr. Iguana together as mixed tag champs. She's one of their top female stars in AAA. And if you can watch every Saturday for free on YouTube, despite Rey Mysterio translating English, which I rather read subtitles than hear Rey Mysterio in a serious translation voice. But she needs it more. She needs it bad. Like she's undefeated in underground matches. She should have been women's North American champion at one point, but it never happened. But she's long overdue. But then you got Kendall Gray, who's one of the fastest rising stars coming out of Evolve. She was their longest women's champion at Evolve, and they're building her to be this like next top female star. But I feel like Lola needs it more now. Kendall Gray, I think this won't hurt her. If she loses this, it's not going to hurt her. I guarantee you within 6 months, they'll put the belt on her somehow, some way. But I feel like it's Lola's time too, and she's going to be walking around with 2 belts, and I'm going to go with Lola Vice to win as well.
I agree with everything you're saying, and you're right. Her and Mr. Iguana are an absolute hit. I mean, everybody loves them. Adults, kids, the whole works. So
Oh, I love him. Like Triple A's awesome. I love him. I love Psycho Circus, basically Psycho Clown and Pagano. I love that little faction Vikingo got with Omos and his manager. Like they're killing in Triple A. Then you got probably the biggest women's feud in NXT right now. We got Sol Ruka and Zarya.
yeah, I honestly thought they were going to keep this team together for a while. I really did. I thought that they were going to have them run, for a long time, win tag titles and hold them for a long time and that kind of stuff, and then have her turn. Obviously, Zarya is the heel in this case, and as he should be. I mean, I think Sol Ruka would be a horrible bad guy. It's if this was the day and age to have it, I would say this would be a double count out or a double disqualification, and we wouldn't have a winner. But something's going to end up happening. Probably Zarya is going to steal the win, and continue this rivalry. But either way, I think this is going to be. It's going to probably be a fight from start to finish.
If it gets too out of control, I could see it ending in a no contest or a double DQ. But if we're picking an actual winner, I'm going to go with Sol Ruka. That's another one that's like going to be a big top star, especially in her performance in the Rumble earlier this year. Zarya, she kind of reminds me of Alundra Blaze a little bit.
Oh, see, I was thinking she reminds me of somebody you were talking about earlier, a taller version of Luna Vachon.
Luna and Alundra Blaze mixed together.
Yeah.
Say that. All right.
Yeah.
Then we got the Women's North American Championship, a rematch from Vengeance. I think it was from Vengeance Day, but it's Tatum Paxley versus Blake Monroe.
Since she left AEW, I haven't been impressed with Blake Monroe one drop. And I think part of it is the people she's working with. When she was working with Tony Storm and Chris Statlander and people like that, they fed off each other extremely well. Blake Monroe right now seems like a deer in headlights. So I can't see her winning this match, and rightfully taking the title, because she did take the title. But I can't see her rightfully doing it. I think this whole thing's going to end up in a ladder match before it's all said and done. But I think that we see a retention of the title.
And correction, she beat Izzy Dane at Vengeance Day. Blake Monroe has held the title once, but it was
Yeah.
Thea that beat her for it. Thea helped beat Blake Monroe for it.
Right.
But she just won the belt at Vengeance Day, so I can't see her being a transitional champion just yet because she's only been champion for 22 days. I can't see her being a transitional champion just yet, like of how hard they pushed her to get that title. So I'm going with Tatum Paxley to retain. Plus, she was also fantastic in TNA as well.
She was.
And then we got the main event. My God, this is a toss-up. Fatal 4-way for the NXT Championship. Joe Hendry, Ricky Saints, Tony D'Angelo, and Ethan Page. Floor's yours.
Well, yeah, as much as I love Ricky Saints, loved him in AEW. I think he's, and it helps that I've got one of my friends is one of the guys that trained him in the very beginning. I fully understand what the whole thing with Saints is, but at the same time, I think we need to see a Ricky Saints Ethan Page rivalry, which puts us down to Joe Hendry and Tony D'Angelo. The people have really taken to this new Tony D'Angelo, not being the mob boss, but being I don't know, just that loner badass kind of thing. So for me, it comes down to those two guys. I think we could see a rivalry of those two for a while. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm saying Joe Hendry retains.
Wow. Okay. I think we're going to have a new champion because, to be honest, I think Joe Hendry is so over. It's time for him to go to the main roster. And I feel like he's going to go to SmackDown because that's where he kind of been popping up lately before he won that title with the stuff with The Miz and whatnot. Right. I feel like Ethan Page is just in the match to take the pinfall. It's going to come down to either it's going to come down to Tony D or Ricky Saints. But let me first say this real quick. You know how hard it was for me when Ricky Saints and Joe Hendry fought at Vengeance Day, because I don't usually pick against Ricky Saints. I got to support my New Orleans brother all the way. But Joe, that one night I had to take Joe to retain. I said if they ever cross paths at Stand and Deliver, I was going to pick Ricky Saints. But now that you got to throw Tony D in there, he's been on this long journey to try and get the title. Ethan Page is kind of a filler, but I get, he's got his thing with Ricky Saints too. Who needs it more is the hardest part, because it's like Ricky Saints has already held it. It wouldn't hurt for him to have a second reign, especially him going in a feud with Ethan Page. But Tony D, he's been long overdue to be champion, and that's the dawn of NXT. So, oh God, I really don't want to pick against Ricky Saints again.
I didn't want to pick against him either, but
why do I feel Tony D needs this more than anybody? And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't put it on him. They put it on Ricky Saints, or if Joe retains, but just to see something different. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with Tony D'Angelo to win the title.
Your logic is there. Your logic is definitely there. And would I be surprised to see Hendry, the SmackDown or the Raw after WrestleMania on the main roster? No. But like I say, your logic is there. I could see D'Angelo. I could see any of the four of them winning it, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Plus, Ethan Page has had a reign, too, which I enjoyed him being champion, too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to wrap up this live stream, and this was fun. I'll see you again next week when we do TNA Rebellion for sure, and still debating if I'm going to do a prediction for AEW Dynasty, because I don't really watch AEW. So I really don't know what's going on down there besides Omega and MJF. So we'll see what we go. We'll see what happens when we get there. But real quick, before we close out, let them know where they could find you on social media and Driving to the Top Productions.
Yeah, on Twitter, it's Big Rich 8371. On Facebook, it's just my name, Rich Richardson. Where do I start? Mondays, of course, we do the baseball show with Adam and myself and a cast of characters there. Two Tire Change Monday nights as well, and then we do our open mic show where Marcus gets in there. You never know who's going to show up or what topics we're going to get into, because we do go all over the map on that show. And then Wednesdays, Adam and I do a show called Steel City Sports Talk, where we get into everything Pirates, Steelers, Penguins, Panthers, etc. Anything Pittsburgh sports and beyond, we get into that. So it's a busy time. And then, of course, when I get invited onto the show here, Marcus and I'll do predictions, or we'll talk wrestling, old school and new.
Yep. Of course, I'm on X at Dirty South ENT _. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel. But follow that X if you want anything Cajun Turnbuckle related. That's where I post episode announcements and nostalgia, live streams and whatnot. But you can find it on any audio platform, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Pod, Google Pod, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Podbean for sure. And then you can also find me on Driving to the Top Productions with my other show, On the Go, which I usually do on Wednesday nights, Fans of the Diamond on Mondays with y'all. And then I occasionally also pop in on open mic on Tuesdays as well.
We're busy guys, is what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah. During our off hours. But all right,
during our
man.
off hours, yeah.
Oh, look, right before we close out, what's up, Freddie?
Yeah.
Coming in. What's going on? Hope y'all enjoy Stand and Deliver. Enjoy y'all Easter weekend. Enjoy the Final Four. Enjoy the family time, despite the weather coming. And we'll see you guys. We'll see y'all next Saturday for another live prediction. But other than that, we'll catch y'all next week. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for the invite. See y'all later.